Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tool Talk Live. I am trying to get a better setup. The last time I did this, it was more in the evening and it was not so bright. And I'm not 100% sure what to do about that because the windows are throwing off way too much light and blowing everything out. So we're going to have to see. I wonder if I could flip it around for my, you can see my furnace instead. Let's see if I can get a better view that way. So a slightly less exciting view, but a slightly clearer one. Let me turn that off. And if I sit blocking that light, let's see here. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. That's something pretty decent. Oh, apologies for the technical troubles. The last time I did a live stream, it was not bad. We are started off with $20 from James Wright, who is always a bro and is great for these things. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for putting up with me while I dealt with some little technical problems. I know things are a little blown out looking, but I think this is the best we're going to do for right now. So we're going to charge ahead and have the best live stream we can have regardless of technical issues. Let me talk about what we're even doing here, because today is a little bit different than other live streams. I think this, that's the best I'm going to do. This is a little bit different than other live streams. Let me explain what's going on. This live stream is for Anne of All Trades. If you guys don't know her, her real name is Anne Briggs. She makes really fantastic content, woodworking, blacksmithing, carpentry, all sorts of stuff on the YouTube. And she's wonderful. I think everybody loves her content. And recently, people, we got some live chats coming in. You guys are great already. I haven't even gotten to the pitch yet, and you guys are already killing it with the lives. Let me just move these lights a tiny bit more, cut down on that glare off the pipe. Let's see what that looks like. That probably made things worse. So let's try this. There we go. Okay, a little less glare off that. Here's what Anne did that I find so fascinating is she had a farm, basically a little 5-acre farm in Seattle. And what she wanted to do was teach more woodworking, which is a great thing to do and is not easy. So she didn't have enough space and didn't have the opportunity to do it where she is. Oh, and Anne is in the live chat right now. Everybody, please welcome Anne of All Trades, Anne Briggs, who we're here for today. Anne moved all the way across the country, bought land, started building a school, and then COVID, right? And everything just fell apart. She had a great video about this where she explained everything. She didn't ask for anybody's help or anything. She was just explaining what was going on. And COVID happened. So building materials skyrocketed, building crews hard to find, contractors hard to find, just a lot of difficulty. And her school stalled. And it is that building, from what I understand, is just sitting in the back of her house, undone and starting to rot, starting to decay. And she's out of money. And this is something that could happen to anybody who's in business. We all take risks. We all do things that are scary. And we risk money. And sometimes we risk all of it. And when I think about what she's doing, it's not that different from things that I've done in my life. My wife and I are from Connecticut originally, then we moved to Florida, then California, then Ohio. So we have done the whole pack it up and move across the country thing. And I currently work out of my house. I'm down here in my basement. I'm usually facing the other direction, but this is my normal shop. And I have many, many times planned to get out of the shop and to buy a building or lease a building and have my own place. And I don't know what would have happened to me if I had put that money out there and then COVID had happened, if I had bought a warehouse space and then been renovating it and then COVID suddenly jumped up. That would be That would be terrible. And I think that's pretty much what happened to Anne. She had all these plans going, and then this happened. And it's a terrible situation. I wouldn't always be here just trying to help somebody out with their business. People have problems in business. That's normal. The thing that's different about this is that Anne is starting a school. She is starting a school to teach people. I think a lot of people know, I was a teacher for 11 years. I was an English teacher. And now, obviously, I do teaching here. And I've taught woodworking classes many times before. And it's not that difficult teaching the class, but the administrative stuff is brutal. And the idea of building a building on your property, that I would never do that. I just wouldn't. I don't have that giving a spirit. But Anne is doing it. And she's a good teacher, and she's a good craftsperson. And so what she's doing, yeah, it's a business, but there's a public service element of it. And when somebody's doing something like that, I'm going to jump in and try and support them and try to get the community to support them. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be live for 45 minutes, give or take. I've got the unbelievable Brad from Brad's Workbench and Brad's Wood Turning, who's in the comments. He's going to throw up links and stuff for us. He's going to be moderating, but I don't expect we're going to need any moderation. So we have all of this stuff coming in, and here's the deal. In this live stream, all the super chats I get are going direct to the GoFundMe that was started by James Wright. I want to tell you a really quick story about that. I saw Anne's video, and my first thought was, wow, that is a tough situation. Man, I would give her money if I could, if only there was some way to give her money. I genuinely thought this, as if the internet didn't exist. And then the next day, James Wright, who is smarter than me, makes a GoFundMe for her. And I was like, oh, right, that's how you do that. So James gets all the credit on this one. He came up with the GoFundMe. All the super chats I get in this, I am going to take and immediately put into that GoFundMe. And however much money I get in this, I'm going to match it with my own money out of my business and double whatever we get. So whatever you throw down today, I'm going to double it. Pass that along to Anne so we can get this thing together. The goal on this, I think, is really modest. As I understand it, the goal is just to get a roof on the building, just to make it weather tight so that the construction can go on and all the work that's gone into it won't rot, won't disintegrate. If Anne wants to throw any comments into the chat here and give us any updates, that would be totally fine. And what I'm going to do in the live chat today is just whatever you guys want me to do. I'll talk about whatever you want. I'll show you tools. I'll show you projects. I'll give you sneak peeks into new things. What you can start doing is start throwing questions in with your super chats, and I will answer those. I will show you things. I'll tell you what's coming up. Whatever you want me to do, and keep those super chats rolling in, because everyone you send goes directly to her, and I'm going to double it. So I've seen a bunch of people. James Wright started us off with a hefty $20 donation, which was so great. Thank you. And let me just call a couple out here. I see Ryan Paul with $5. I see Chuck Hart with $50. You guys are going to bankrupt me on this. And you know what? That's okay. What would Anne prefer in terms of maximizing the cash? GoFundMe or this super chat? She's going to get more money if you give a super chat right now, because then I'm going to double it. So, and I'm not going to take out the YouTube fees. YouTube can have its fees. I'm not worried about that. Whatever the number is, I'm going to give that right away. So we're not even going to take the YouTube fees out of it. So whatever amount you give me is going to go direct to her. I probably have to pay taxes on that. Ugh. Anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, throw me a question, throw me a request. I would love to talk about things. I would love to answer questions. I would love to give you more information, whatever you would like. People are really amazing here. I see John Itzen coming in, JP Woodwork, Vivid and Ellipsis. Everybody is throwing in donations. Fantastic stuff. Aaron just threw in $10. SJ LaRue. I think that's LaRue, just threw it in. Anne of all trades, seriously, huge thank you to Rex. Generosity is blowing me away. Anne, it's 100% my pleasure. A lot of you probably don't know, Anne and I have never met. We don't know each other. I only know her because of her videos. But I think her videos are really high quality, and I have a soft spot for teachers. I was a professional teacher for a long time. Obviously, I'm sort of still a professional teacher. I just do this. And somebody who wants to have a woodworking school in their backyard gets so much love and affection from me because I would never put up with the administrative hassle of that. It's too much for me. So Anne's doing something that's honestly, I mean, yeah, it's a business, but it's also kind of selfless in its own way. I think any business like this is going to be pretty low margin. You're not going to make a ton of money at this. So she's doing something for the community. The attic woodworker just threw in 10 pounds, and I think the attic woodworker threw in 10 pounds before, so that's really nice. A1 Base, one of my favorite patrons and one of my moderators on my Patreon discussion board, just threw in $250. This is an enormous fundraiser. We are making a lot of money here. Friends, please throw in some questions with your super chats or throw in some things that you would like to see. Mark Halverson just threw us a big chunk of money. Fantastic. The Poor Man is in the chat, one of my original patrons from a long time back. Fantastic guy. Somebody, let me know what you'd like me to talk about. You know what? I'm going to talk about chisels a little bit because that's what I've been doing recently. I just did a video just a couple of weeks ago about buying chisels on eBay, and I really highlighted these antique socket chisels. So I'll show one of these here. These can often be bought on eBay for just a couple of dollars, like literally a couple of dollars. My dad is in the super chat. My dad, Paul Kruger, just threw 20 bucks in the hat to help out Anne. Thank you, Dad. I didn't even know he knew how to use a live stream. That's amazing. My father, who taught me, frankly, a lot of what I know about how to make things, bought me my first drill press and my first workbench and brought them to me when I was living in Florida. Probably would not be here without my dad and my mom. The two of them together have been really, really central to this business, and I have a lot of gratitude to them. Hey, it's that dude. Rex, I loved your video on woodworking book recommendations. Any more outside of what you showed in your video? I always talk about Lost Art Press. I really think they do fantastic stuff. I recently read With Hammer in Hand, which is a history of the Domini craftsmen of Long Island. That's been out of print for a long time, but it's a really good book. And at the recommendation of the Hand Tool Book Review podcast, which is great, my friend Ray Defteros runs that, he recommended 18th century American furniture, which is fantastic. I love that one. The Mace of Spades just threw $10 at the hat, and he said, do you have a good source for socket chisel handles for those of us without lathes? Absolutely. eBay. Tons of people on eBay are turning those on their lathes and putting them up for sale a lot of time for very reasonable prices. So for instance, this chisel right here was made with a handle that I bought off of eBay or at a flea market. Either one, it's made of maple. It's nice and solid. I really like it. So I think that's a great way to get going. And then all you have to do is sort of hand fit it. Another thing that I want to talk about on the subject of chisels is this week I'm doing what I think is the Aldi chisels. Anne also says, here's another tip about socket chisels. Use violin bow rosin to keep those handles in with the changing weather. This illustrates the difference between Anne and I. Anne, a crafts person with far more finesse than me, I blow some super glue in there and jam that thing in, and that's the end of it. Rosin, very elegant, very nice solution, much too refined for my taste. I'm a little too low rent for that. I just throw in some super glue. A lot of people know about the Aldi chisels that Paul Sellers is often talking about. Can't get those at Aldi. It's a discount grocery chain. I'm pretty sure I found those on Amazon. So I found this set right here. It cost $18. Super glue, Lord bless you. Well, it works. It's super. I found these for $18. They came with really kind of awful, stupid handles, but I replaced the handles with these that are in the London pattern. And engineer Mike just threw us $20. Thank you, Mike. These are in the London pattern. This week's video, which is just coming up, is going to be me refurbishing the entire set of these things, taking them from garbage to pretty great, honestly, and making these London pattern handles with or without a lathe. Hey Rex, what's your favorite Anne of all trades video? It comes from Ethan Chitty, a longtime patron, and he threw in a $10 super chat. Thank you very much. My favorite of Anne's videos is the one where she forges a giant draw knife that's like 4 feet long or something ridiculous out of mild steel, hacks it out in like her back porch or something. Does honestly a really good job. I hate bladesmithing. I hate it. I've made a bunch of knives and it's way too much work for me. So I think that was the best video of hers that I've seen. I also like the farming videos and the carpentry videos when she's showing building stuff. I am the world's crappiest carpenter. I'm an okay furniture maker, but I suck at building buildings. So I like watching other people do that because it's an area where I really, really need to improve. Aaron Sala just threw in some money, little money for a great cause. Everybody's being really awesome here. So this week's video is going to be about these. And then I have another special surprise just for people who are here. Lucas says, hey, Rex, nice to see the collaboration between the best craftspeople. You should follow the fundraiser with a project with everyone. You and James Wright, I'm sure we can do something like that. And I'm sure we would love it. I will show you guys something that I just recently purchased. There's been a lot of buzz about these recently, and I'm really looking forward to them. These are the Narex Richter chisels. And here we go. You can see these are really nice. They're an interesting contrast to these $18 wonders that I just tried out. These are, it's a set of 5, and they are, you can see the finish and fit is really amazing. And this set of 5 chisels cost $200. So I'm going to put them sort of head to head with the cheap ones in a few weeks, and we're going to see. Brian O'Brien says, do you air dry any green lumber? So I don't air dry green lumber, but I do make things out of green wood all the time. Bowls and stuff on the lathe, absolutely. And then I've been following Peter Follensby's work recently. He has a great YouTube channel with very few subscribers, and he's written some amazing books on 17th century joinery. And I've just enjoyed his work immensely, and I've learned a lot about getting stuff out of green stock. So I've got some green oak logs that I just purchased recently, and I'm hoping to make some period furniture out of those. I've also done the stuff most people do. I've carved spoons. I've made chopsticks. I've done all the sort of little crafty stuff that you can easily do with green wood, especially if you're a carver. If you haven't tried green wood, you really should. I'm pretty sure Anne recently did something on carving spoons. So she just did a really good one on that. Green wood should not be ignored. I always try to keep a lot around, mostly for the lathe, but even for other projects. I love milking stools, simple chairs, projects like that. A lot of those can be made, at least partially, with green wood. So we've had a lot of donations so far. I'm just going to ask Brad over at Brad's Workbench real quick. Do we have a tally to what we have so far? I'm almost afraid to ask because it's a lot. It's a lot of money. The Ethical Axe tells us that he only carves with green wood. I think that's really good. The Attic Woodworker just says Richter are the top of the line Narex, and they absolutely are. I have one of, here is a regular Narex chisel. This used to be their sort of high class chisel, and there is nothing wrong with these. I like them a lot. But they don't compare to the Richters. They're not nearly as well machined. The bevels aren't as tight and small. The handles, honestly, are too big, which is really, honestly, is weird. Because I have huge hands. So for these to be too big for me, that is a lot. I was really surprised about that. You're screwed, Rex. And we are at around $1,500 so far. I have to admit, that kind of exceeds my expectations. But ladies and gentlemen, don't let it stop you. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let's keep one of our own going. We need to. While you're doing it, send me a question. Let me know what you want to see. I put a bunch of tools over here. What is your advice for a low-angle block plane? Yeah, so there are a lot of good ones. I believe the Stanley 18, the Stanley, by the way, this is Paolo, who gave us 10 euros, pounds. I don't know all the symbols. Thank you. What's my advice for low-angle block plane? A lot of the vintage ones are really good. Oh, Anne says we can work out a payment plan. That is so generous of you. Don't worry. We're going to be just fine. Nothing to worry about. My advice for a low-angle block plane is a lot of the vintage ones. So the Stanley 18, the Stanley 65.5, the knuckle joint planes. Let me grab one of those super quick. Here we go. So here's a good example. This, I believe, is the 65.5. This is a Craftsman, so it's got a weird numbering system, but it has the knuckle joint lever cap. You can see the lever cap pops up like this and then pops down, and then you're pushing it by the lever cap. The other thing with block planes in general, and I should mention, I don't, Peter Follensby is the person. I don't use block planes really ever. I just use a number 4 for pretty much everything. But I would say if you're going to bother, get one with an adjuster. They're really not worth having without an adjuster. The Stanley 110 and lots of cheap ones don't have an adjuster. That's ridiculous because you can find inexpensive block planes really easily. Also, the adjustable mouth is really important. And if Anne wants to mention some things that she likes or dislikes about low angle block planes, she has a lot of experience. And Thomas Anthony Stout says, Anne's the best and her watermelons are awesome. I would love to see the Morning Star you made, Rex. So I did just make a Morning Star, a flail, a spiked ball on a chain thing for my nephew. My nephew's in Connecticut, and it's a Christmas present for him. So that actually went in the mail this morning. So I am not going to be able to show it to you on camera because I had to send it to the boy. Thomas also says he made a wooden katana for his own boy to practice with, and I think that's great. You know, obviously there's some danger to this stuff, but oh, and my mom and dad just wished me a happy birthday. I wasn't even going to mention this, but today I am 41 years old. So yes, it is my birthday. Thank you very much. And Brad's reminding everybody we're donating and matching all super chats today. So whatever you give is going to be doubled by me and is going to go to the GoFundMe for Anne. Derek says that he loves Anne's content and wishes he could do more. Derek, you just sent us $10. That's awesome. That's plenty. If everybody just gives a little bit, we're all going to be there. A bunch of people are wishing me happy birthday. It is not necessary. You guys chill out with that. It's totally okay. Platinum Bricks says, thanks, Anne and Rex, best wishes for your woodworking school. I really enjoyed your spoon carving video. I only watched half of that one because my daughter needed something, but I really enjoyed the first half of it. So I showed you guys the Narex chisels. I showed you the block plane. The last time I did one of these, somebody asked me what the prettiest tool I owned was. And I'm going to do this one right now. Kevin, I see your question about plow planes. I'll hit that in just a second. This is the prettiest tool I own. This is a Craftsman-made cast infill plane made out of gunmetal, which is an alloy similar to brass and bronze. I believe it's copper, zinc, and tin. And someone would have bought the casting for this and then filled it themselves. And I purchased this one about a month ago, and it wasn't super expensive because it doesn't have a brand name. And this is the prettiest tool I own. It's unrestored, which I really like. And I particularly like this little detail. You see how the Craftsman connected the handle with this little thing right there, and then the way it handles, it's pretty great. I've got it mostly flat, surprisingly hard to flatten, and it does work really nicely, but it needs a little more tuning. This is the prettiest tool I own in the whole thing. Anne says that's a good one. It is, and it wasn't crazy expensive. It was well under $200, which is really, for something like this, for a little piece of history, it's not bad. Maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. The next fundraiser is going to be for Rex. I might need one the way you guys are throwing down the money, but don't stop. I think we just got something in Danish. What's the Danish currency? I don't even know. I love the work of John Brown. Someone just mentioned, yes, John Brown was an amazing maker of Welsh stick chairs, and his stuff is great. Somebody who super chatted just a minute ago asked about plow planes, and that is a great topic. I'm going to direct you guys to James Wright on that one because he's done so many videos about the Stanley 45, the Stanley 55. I just bought a record plow plane, very much in the vein of the Stanley combination planes, and I've barely even gotten to take a look at it yet. So what I've done before is made my own plow planes. Hang tight just for a second. So plow planes and combination planes are very expensive. So here's what I've done previously in the Woodwork for Humans series. Chris Jordan just threw down $50. Thank you, Chris. Here's what I've done before in the Woodwork for Humans series is we've made this single iron plow plane. It only plows a 3/8 groove, but I actually use 3/8 grooves all the time. It's got a very simple laminated construction. You can see two different woods here. And then I've put in depth stops here and here. So this plane has, it really has everything you need to cut good grooves. It's not as good as a nice combination plow plane, but it works. And I built it for basically no money. So you can see the video. It's on my channel. You can check that out anytime you want to. So that's kind of my answer is when I need a groove or something like that, I go for my homemade plane, and I'm just getting into combination planes right now. I'll have some more to say about that as I know more about them. A few years ago, Clinton Lemon wants to know how he donates. So Brad from Brad's Workbench is going to throw a link up there right now, and that's going to help you donate, or you can super chat. How about you're doing your version of Anne's shave horse? I will totally be doing a shave horse in the future. I'm kind of waiting till I have something to contribute. So many good ones out there. If I can't put my own spin on it, I don't really want to do it. I know I'll do a construction lumber one or maybe a green lumber one in the style of Peter Follansbee. It's got to be unusually cheap, unusually small. It's got to have unusual features. I don't ever like to show up without bringing something special with me. So I will be doing a shave horse, and I'm going to do a pole lathe, hopefully, in the coming year. A lot of you have seen me turning over on that machine right there, the Harbor Freight 34706 that I affectionately call the Green Hog, or the best $300 I ever spent in my life. I don't want to turn on that thing forever. I want something else, and I'm going to try a pole lathe. I think that'll be interesting. Infinite Gaming says he has a question. He or she has a question about fasteners. How do you select the correct depth and diameter for a fastener? That's a really good question. Generally speaking, if I'm using a screw, I usually drill at least to the complete depth of that. And as far as the size goes, typically the threads stick out to either side. You can hold a drill bit in front of your fastener, and you want to see the threads on either side of your drill bit. If you have drill bits in 64ths, you usually have a choice of 2, where you'll be able to put that drill bit in front of the screw and see the threads. If I'm going in softwoods, I use my smaller drill bit, and for hardwoods, I use the size that's larger. You usually get 2 choices. There are 2 that'll sort of do the job. So we've got more super chats coming in. I hope that answers the fastener question. A1 Base said, what is my favorite and least favorite woods to work with? For my favorites, I love white oak, just like James Wright. He's right, it's fantastic wood. I love walnut. It's just a joy to work with. It's really pretty, and we have a lot of it here. Soft maple is underrated. If you have soft maple or silver maple, A1 Base says, I thought wood screws should be sized so the non-threaded shoulder should just go all the way through the top piece. Yes, that's true too. That's the clearance hole. That's a different thing. This is turning into a big topic. I think I'll probably wait on that one. And now I have completely lost my train of thought. Tommy Stryden just threw us $15. Thank you, Tommy. We're going to get this thing happening. Least favorite woods. I do like using it for stuff, but I don't enjoy Purple Heart. It's chippy, it's hard to plane, the splinters are unpleasant. I don't have a lot of woods that I dislike working with because I am, Anna of all trades says just use drywall screws. She's kidding, she's kidding. Don't use drywall screws, they're hardened, they snap. That's a joke. I don't have a problem with a lot of woods because I just don't use exotics. I use plain Jane North American hardwoods because I live in the Midwest, I live in Ohio. There's lots of really perfectly good woods around here. So I don't mess around. I don't have zebra wood and bloodwood and all that crazy stuff. Oak, ash, maple, cherry, walnut. I build with that stuff. Scott Nagy says, welcome to the neighborhood. He threw in $10. Would have given you directly, but I can double my money with Rex's shampoo budget. I don't need any shampoo. It's completely true. And John just threw down $5 and thanked us both for what we do for the community. It is 100% our pleasure. We are really happy to do it. I think we both are. Other stuff that I wanted to talk about. The last time I was doing a live stream, somebody wanted to see the original advanced joiner's mallet. So this is the first one. Tool collector I know just told me that this is actually from the Czech Republic. I don't know about that. And Matthew Lee, who's one of my longtime patrons, just said, what about poplar? Poplar is one of the most underrated woods in existence because it's inexpensive, it's super easy to work with, and it's hard-ish. It doesn't stain very well. But Rex, do you use a head blade with the wheels on it or just a chisel? I use neither. I use a standard Mach 3. Crashington Adams said my brother had Purple Heart nunchucks in high school and he smacked me in the shin with them. Yeah, that's... And who made, really quick in the chat, who made nunchucks as a kid? Because I absolutely did. One of my first projects, I hit myself not only in the shin, but also in the face and just right in there, more than once, just right in there with the nunchucks. It was really terrible. One of my favorite tool review channels to watch. I don't know if I watch a lot of tool review channels. I do check out Brad's channel, Brad's Workbench. He does tool reviews. I do a lot of tool reviews on my channel. James Wright does a lot of them. A lot of us who do lower budget woodworking, we do a lot of tool reviews. I actually watch a ton of machinist content on YouTube. My granddad was a machinist, and that whole world really fascinates me, even though I don't have firm plans to become a machinist and get that stuff. I'll probably buy a metal lathe at some point. So I spend a lot of time watching This Old Tony and A-Bomb 79. I absolutely watch woodworking videos, but since I make woodworking videos all the time, I do get a little burned out on that stuff. So, oh, and recently Blondie Hacks. If you guys haven't checked out Quinn from Blondie Hacks, her channel is fantastic. She has an incredible sense of humor. She's a ton of fun to watch. She and I are going to have a really fantastic collaboration coming in January. That's right, hand tool woodworking meets machining. How's that going to go bad? That's not going to be a bad thing. Let me ask Brad if he gets a second. Go ahead and throw us another total on this thing. We're going to go for 15 more minutes because I plan to do a 45-minute live stream. You can take my money, ladies and gentlemen. It is there on the table. Is there direct Payport support for Ann? There is. If you scroll back in the chat, there is the GoFundMe direct link, so you can give directly to her, or you can throw a super chat in here, and I'll pass it along, and I will double it with my own money. Michelle just threw down $20. Thank you. And love your content. Hope all this works out. This reminds me why creatives, big business, all about building people, not ripping them down. Content producers, running support are amazing. Thank you so much for saying so. I'll just say it's interesting being in this business because you could look at all the other YouTubers out there as your competition. And I know people do. And I've had moments of feeling that way. But especially in the last year or so, I've really thought to myself, these aren't my competition. These people are my colleagues. I mean, if you look at the YouTube viewer stats, there's enough to go around. Like, there are plenty of people out there. And any viewer can be subscribed to all of us. Any viewer can watch all of our stuff. The bigger the community gets, the better that is for everyone. And that's why I'm here. I mean, this could be weird. One could think I'm sitting here doing a fundraiser for a business I'm in competition with. I don't see it that way. I think that we're colleagues, like as if we both sort of taught at the same school. And that's one of the reasons that I want to do this. Other things that I brought to show, I haven't actually used this yet, but I'm tired of the roughing gouge I have on my lathe. So I just bought this Widowmaker over here. It's by the Imotech company. You can find these on Amazon. It was like $50, so I thought that was a good amount for a monster roughing gouge like this. The one that I had right now is just terrible. So this is going to be something that I do a future review on. It is acceptable in its construction. It's not amazing, but Pittsburgh Flip says, let's make Rex suffer a little for a good cause. Love all you content creators and educators. Brad says we better get my watch time up this month. That's probably a good, yeah, if you guys want to watch my videos, if you want to become patrons, I'm going to admit we're getting a little higher on the donations than I was expecting, but it's not a problem. I am going to double this money, and it's no sweat for me. I can completely do this. So the first tool to spend a lot of money on, it depends on whether you are a hand tool or power tool woodworker. If you are a hand tool woodworker, put your money into a good quality smoothing plane, at least one high quality back saw, probably a tenon saw, a carcass saw, or a dovetail saw. I guess a carcass saw because it's probably the most versatile, and some measuring and marking tools. Good marking gauge is really important. Tape measures are cheap. Nice precision machinist's square. Let me show that super quick. I have used I have used every square known to man. I have a long video about squares, and I have never found something better than the 6-inch combination machinist square. If you guys watch Jonathan Katz Moses, he even has like a gunslinger belt in his apron that he just tucks one of these into, and it's there all the time. It does 90s, it does 45s. They have a little spirit level for checking to make sure that things are level. You can pull the rule out if you want to. You can use just the stock to see if your table saw blade is level. The 6-inch combination square, I usually go with Starrett tools. They are by far my favorite for marking and measuring. This one happens to be made by the Union Caliper Company from Orange, Massachusetts. David just threw down $100. Thank you, David. And the question was Skittles or M&Ms. David, that is completely obvious. M&Ms, Skittles taste like garbage. Have I read Chris Schwartz's Anarchist books? Absolutely. I don't think I've read all of them. I've read the Anarchist Tool Chest and the Anarchist Workbench. Chris is an enormous influence on me. Absolutely enormous. And so I read his books all the time. He has pointed the direction that I go in for all sorts of things. I'd love to meet him at some point. He seems like a nice guy. He has a background in journalism, and I have a background in English teaching. So we had somewhat parallel tracks before we got into woodwork. And then, of course, he was the editor of Popular Woodworking magazine, and I'm doing this. You can judge which is the higher class career. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I love Chris's books. I recommend them very highly. Also, for everyone who doesn't know, he gave away his most recent book, The Anarchist's Tool Chest, as a PDF for COVID. So you can go to his website and you can, lostartpress.com, and you can download the Anarchist Tool Chests for zero money. Anarchist Workbench for zero money. It is a great read. I really enjoyed it. Mark Livesey just threw down $100. Mark, thank you. We really just appreciate that. And he says the best thing, and then a different Mark Zaug, I'm going to say, Z-A-U-G-G. Best thing about your channel has been other folks you've introduced me to. I try to. Duke just threw in 10 pounds, loved my videos, loves Ann's. I love Ann's too. That's what we're doing here. So now I have completely lost my train of thought. Again, things to spend money on. A decent set of chisels. I'm not sure yet if these are the ones that I would. A bunch of people who came in a little late would like a reminder about the reason for the fundraiser. That's a really good idea. We got about 10 minutes left. I need to wrap up a quarter after, so I'll run this down really quickly. Ann of all trades, Ann Briggs, another creator here on the YouTubes, moved across the country, bought land, started building a woodworking and craft school to teach people about all the things that she knows, and then COVID happened. And she was stopped in the middle of it. Building costs skyrocketed. Contractors couldn't be found. Just an extremely difficult situation. She's got like a quarter of a building in her backyard. The money has run out. It's the sort of thing that could happen to anyone in business, but she was doing it to start a school, to teach people stuff. So I'm doing this fundraiser. James Wright had the idea for this fundraiser. All the credit goes to James for firing up the GoFundMe. And he just did an amazing job setting that up. And we're here today raising money for Ann so that she can at least get a roof on her building so that things can get going again. So this school can happen because, who doesn't need to take woodworking classes? I'll tell you something weird. I've taught numerous woodworking classes, but I've never taken one. I grew up in a mechanical family and I taught myself woodworking. And I read books and I just learned how to do it. I could use some classes. There's so many things in this craft, like chair making. I love chair making, but all I've really made is stools. I'm sure I could reverse engineer that like I do with everything else, but it would be pretty great. We're at roughly around $2,500. I have to admit, ladies and gentlemen, that's unbelievable. That is so much more money than I thought we were going to raise right now. Still or Husqvarna? Husqvarna just sounds cooler, doesn't it? Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Husqvarna. Although for axes, I got to go with Gransevorce. That company makes an axe. What happened to Ann? A lot of people are doing these today, so she has to pop by some other ones. Hold on really quickly. So since we're talking about, $20 more came in from Rodent of Anger. Ann and Rex, you're both inspirational. Can't wait to enroll in your school. Fight on. We're going to do that. And Ann, if Travis is ever in her neck of your woods, he wants to stop by. Logan just threw down $50 and said, go put that roof on. Here is the Grand Sevorce Brook small carving axe. Plug the Patreon and the amazing discussions going on. You know what? That's a good point. Patreon.com/Rex Kruger is what makes all this stuff possible. My patrons are by far my biggest source of income, and they get, I think, a pretty good deal. They get all my videos early. They get a live discussion forum that is amazing. Our discourse forum, best woodworking forum on the net. Lots of people, very active, very welcoming and friendly. They get all of my plans for free. So if you want to make something like this, you can buy the plans. And I should mention, $100 from Brooks Moses. Thank you, Brooks. That's really nice of you. I should mention that I'm doing a 50% off sale on all of my plans right now. So if you go to rexkruger.com/store, you can get all of my plans for half off. They're already really inexpensive. So, it's the holidays. You might not get all the stuff that you really wanted. Get yourself something. And, while we're at it, it's going to help me pay for the matching funds for this fundraiser. So, everybody wins on that one. Nigel Doyle threw down 10 pounds and said, no real message. Just go, Ann, and also go, Rex. You rock. It is my pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm really glad people wanted to throw in a little bit there. We're down to our last 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost at $3,000, which is absolutely incredible. Just completely inspirational, and I am extremely grateful. I'm going to stop futzing around with this carving axe, which I should, because this thing is razor sharp. I did it with a diamond hone. I could probably shave with this. How much am I going to get in donations if I shave with it on camera? It's not happening. So we're getting down to the end. If anybody wants to throw some questions my way, I'd be happy to answer a question towards the end. People wanted to know where Ann went. She probably had to go to somebody else's live stream. It's completely understandable. If I were her, I would find this level of attention embarrassing. I know that's ironic because I get attention for a living, but I don't like to be the center of attention the way she is right now. So I hope that, and she popped right back up here again. And hey, listen, if you want to just leave us with any closing thoughts or anything you want to tell us. I thought getting a roof on your place was the biggest priority, but if you get enough money, can you carry this all the way? Can we get all the way to the point where it's done? What are the odd circles in wood, and are they bad for tools? Sylvester, I don't know, man. How are you liking the new shop setup before? For me, I do like my new shop setup a lot. I recently cleaned and reorganized the whole shop, and I realized something really important. Hey, Mark just threw down $100. Thank you, Mark. I realized that I value space and openness much, much more than I value owning every machine ever made. So I got rid of a ton of stuff. I even got rid of some machines. I put a lot of stuff away. And now, for instance, like this pathway between my furnace and my water heater over to my lathe, that used to be full of stuff. Now I can just walk through instead of walking around. And that's made an enormous difference for me. I've been very, very happy about that. So I just think space and being able to move around and not holding on to every last scrap of everything. I am, frankly, kind of a hoarder and kind of a scavenger. And Ann says, heck yes, we can. Honestly, we're so close to getting a roof on and we can go further. We are going to. Yes. So maybe we can finish the whole school. Maybe this thing can open at the end of COVID and people can start taking classes and we can get this thing going. I think that would be phenomenal. I would love that personally. So yeah, we're having a very generous today, Mark. It's absolutely true. Skipping Starbucks this weekend to throw a little money in there. We really appreciate that. A roof sounds better. Matthew Lee says, there's a nice poll in the middle of your emergency second job that you'll need this month. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Oh, that's what I'm going to need to do to pay for all this. No, it's okay. My first job is all right. I have great viewers and customers and patrons and people who are making my business a reality. And I'm in a good position right now. But with this community support, we're honestly so much further toward that goal at this point. So Ann just said we're getting very close to that goal of having the money that we need. And that is wonderful. Dylan's Firewood said, hey, Rex, I have a bandsaw with a 30-inch base on it. What should I do for a fence? I have no idea. That is a really interesting question. That's a good Jimmy DiResta question. I bet he would know how to put a huge fence on a big bandsaw like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got two. Dan said there's 100 go through. I don't know. Brad would know that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at, looks like over the $3,000 mark right now, which means when we double everything, we're going to have about $7,000 for Ann by the end of this. It's a big deal. It's a lot of money. I'm very grateful to everybody. Everybody's been fantastic. Ann also says, I also think the attention other creators have brought to the project might get us back in good standing with some of the corporate sponsors that had to drop us. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll say it right now. If you're a sponsor, if you're out there, a lot of people back Ann. I back Ann. People pay attention. So maybe some of that support should go back in her direction. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shut this down now. I got to go do some stuff with my kid. It is 3:15. We've run for just under $3,500. So we're going to have $7,000 for Ann when this is all over, which I feel really great about. And you can expect that to go right into your GoFundMe tonight. She says, so honestly, even if you can't afford to give financially, sharing the videos and commenting is such a huge help. It is. Just a little bit of awareness goes a long way. Brad has dropped the GoFundMe in there. You can donate directly into the GoFundMe. We're going to shut this thing down. It is 3:15. Everybody's been amazing. Thank you all. Thank you so much. And best of luck to you. I can't wait to come and meet you in person one day. Everybody, have a great day. Stay safe.